this has been an incredible couple of weeks. We are so proud of not only our athletes, but really or debt of gratitude to the LOC. They did a remarkable job getting our athletes in, getting them housed, creating this wonderful track and field atmosphere, this incredible space. And again, we've had great trials. Max Siegel, our new CEO, has come in and done a yeoman's job. One of the first big pieces that he had to do was to come in and walk into the middle of an Olympic trials, and has done an incredible job. And so just really want to say thank you to he and the staff and really the LOC for the wonderful work. And we even got some decent coverage from you guys for a change.
Max, anything to add to that?
No, I want to add to what Stephanie said. I had an opportunity to walk the property with Vin Lanana, and the planning that went into this event, everything from the competition on the field to the fan experience, and quite frankly, the volunteers made everyone feel welcome. It was just a great experience for everyone here.
All right. Questions for either?
Yeah.
At your initial teleconference, you stood by the 30 medals projection. How do you feel about that now?
Well, I like to know what I don't know. I think that the athletes perform well. I think that we have a pretty strong team. Our chief of sport performance is happy with how this is all developed, and that's a reach goal, but I'm very confident we'll have a good showing over in London.
Yeah, Max, I'd like to know which cities are bidding for the 15 championships and the 16 trials, and what's the timeline of announcing those bids?
Yeah, I was asked that question earlier. There have been a number of cities that have responded to an RFP. In fairness to me being on the job for a short period of time, what I'm doing is kind of digging into the information that we got in. We're going to do what's in the best interest of the organization and try to reach a conclusion as to where we're going to host those events pretty quickly. I don't have an inventory of it right here in front of me, but shortly we're going to address those upcoming events for 13, 14, 15, and the 16 trials.
Before the games?
I'm not sure that before the games is realistic, but we do have ongoing dialogue with the potential hosts for the event.
Max, there's a real concern from track fans and some of the athletes that the profile of the sport is only evident on the fourth year of the Olympic Games. What are your plans to elevate that after the Olympics?
Yeah, having spent time with a number of the athletes over the last 4 years, I can tell you that there are some very interesting athletes in the sport, both on the field of play and off. With the proliferation of cable networks, the desire for content, there are a lot of things that we can do in the media space to both promote the brand of the athlete as well as track and field. And I think that even with the attention that we got with the dead heat and the runoff now, we just need to capitalize on a really great performance. And from our event strategy to both our brand strategy with the athletes and the organization, roll that out. But the media space is one that I'm going to focus on really heavily.
For Max or Stephanie, could you comment on the solution to the tie-breaking procedure in light of Bobby Kersey's comments that he isn't thrilled that they'll be running tomorrow and he's worried about an injury?
Well, I guess just to recap what we've talked to the press about for the past week or so, a lot of folks criticized us for not having a process in place, but I'm proud to say that based upon the work of a comprehensive group of people, we put a process in place that we think was first and foremost in the best interest of the athletes. It was vetted and agreed upon in conjunction with the USOC, and they too have the athlete's best interest in mind. I am sure as a coach, and I would expect what Bobby said is absolutely what he feels. But the inevitable issue here is that there was a dead heat tie, and we had to find a resolution to that. And they chose, meaning the athletes, based upon the policy, the athletes chose that a runoff was going to be in the best interest of making them feel that their accomplishment actually means something.
Was that unanimous, the runoff vote?
If you look at and Jill, you want to talk a little bit about the process and the protocol, but the provisions in the protocol, basically there are 3 choices, and it had to end up that way. I mean, if there wasn't a runoff, then basically one of the athletes would have been abdicating or basically giving up their spot. You want to speak a little bit more?
The options were that if they agreed on a resolution, it would be that. If they disagreed, it would be a runoff. And if neither of them expressed an opinion, then it would be a coin toss.
So they could have had a split decision for a runoff?
Yeah, he's
both
asking
agreed.
did both
Yes,
athletes want a
they
runoff?
both
Yes,
agreed
they
to a
both
runoff.
agreed to a runoff.
Yes.
And so, Bobby, to your question, Bobby should say exactly. And we're all, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we would not want a runoff if we didn't have to have a runoff, but it is what it is. And if you look at other sports, we did extensive research in other sports and other industries. And we found that, especially like in swimming in particular, they do runoff, and it's in conjunction with the coach and the athletes. So, we did our research. When you look at the IAAF rules, it's to draw basically by lot. But there wasn't a procedure or process in place for it. So we did extensive research, and again, at the end of the day, as I expressed to our athletes today, if anybody has an appreciation for the work that we did and wanted to maintain a level of integrity and transparency with this process, it's me, based upon the way things were handled with me 28 years ago.
And I know we've got the men's 1500 waiting to come up. I think we can take 1 or 2 more questions.
Do you anticipate that this will continue to be the protocol if there's ever another dead heat? Do you think that it would be the best way to handle things if it wasn't a sort of retroactive situation? And also, Max, do you have any regrets about not having made any more forceful statements kind of sort of immediately when it happened and come out and sort of taken a leadership statement position?
Max, just from a governance standpoint, I'll let him answer. From a governance standpoint, we have a democratic process within USA Track and Field that gives us the ability to look at policies and procedures, and that, as you know, they're always living documents and living procedures. So what we created this time around will set a precedent. It's the beginning of us really going back in December, not this year, but next year, in law and legislation, and really having a thorough dialogue with the athletes as well as coaches. And if we need to tweak this in some way in a year or so, we will do that.
To respond to your question, no, I don't regret it. The fact of the matter is we're here to lead and to also serve. And so before we make statements about what we think we should do, we wanted to engage the entire body of people and the stakeholders to figure out what process we would put in place that took everybody's interest and consideration. As Stephanie said before, the athletes' safety, the athletes' interests were at the top of our list. And even with respect to how we as an organization communicated the process, we were honoring the wishes of our coaches and athletes. There were multiple sport athletes that wanted to focus on the event, and we didn't feel like it was, not only appropriate, but in everyone's best interest to have a public discussion about it. So we worked in consultation with them, and we reached a resolution, and I think that in the end, everybody was satisfied considering the circumstances.
1 more? All right, thank you.